Hi everyone, welcome back. This is lesson 13 and we're going to carry on with strumming. This is part 4 of strumming. If you haven't seen lessons 10, 11 and 12, then I'd strongly recommend that you go have a look at those and to go through those exercises first. Otherwise you're going to be a bit lost with what we're doing today. Strumming is a lot more difficult than you might think. We usually think that this hand that's doing all the fancy stuff here, this is going to be a problem, but actually it's not. It's this big dumb hand that just goes back and forward across the strings. This comes with time, but it's very difficult to teach rhythm, good rhythm. It takes a lot of practice, so give yourself a break and take your time. It will come eventually. Okay, so we're talking about syncopation today, and I just want to read you the dictionary definition of what syncopation is. It says, syncopation is the temporary displacement of the regular metrical accent in music, caused by stressing a weak beat or by omitting a strong beat. So I hope all that's abundantly clear. But what does it mean in English? Well, it just means we play harder between the beats than we do on the beats. Or in the case of reggae, we don't really play on the beat at all. We only play in between the beats. So it's a bit of a strange thing, but we'll have a look at what that means in practice just now. Okay, well, just the usual reminder that we need to have our guitar tuned up, we need to be sitting properly, short fingernails, use a thin flexible pick so we're not afraid of catching it in the strings. And as I said, make sure that you've seen the last 3 videos, 10, 11 and 12, and practice the exercises in those, or this won't make a lot of sense. So now this is the sheet, if you like, of the exercises that we're going to do today. They're in 4 parts, and as usual I'd recommend that you take a screenshot of it, print it out, type it out yourself on your own computer, write it out longhand on a piece of paper. It doesn't really matter, but it'd be quite useful to have it written down. If you need to, maybe you can wait till the end and see if that's necessary, or if you understood it without writing it down. But let's have a look at the first little exercise. It just simply says we're going to play beats 1, 2, 3 and 4, and we're just going to say the ands or the upstrokes between those beats. So we're not going to play them, we're just going to say them. Okay, so just pick yourself a chord, any chord that you know. We did all the chords in the key C, and we did a practice exercise with the good old E chord. I think I'll choose a G chord. No, we haven't done those yet, that will be next. But it doesn't really matter. Whichever chord you pick, we'll play 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I'm not catching the strings on the way back, just catching it on the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so far so good. As the guy said who fell off the top of a skyscraper every time he passed the floor. Anyway, this time we're going to count again 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, but we're only going to actually play on beat 1 and on the and in between beats 2 and 3. Now that's the syncopation. That's emphasizing the weak beat, or playing between the beats, or playing off the beat if you like. And that's a trick that's used a lot in rock and popular music, and it creates that sort of dancing, foot tapping, sophisticated sounding rhythm. Great if you're playing alone as well, because you can strip it down for the verse and then you can thicken it up for the chorus. I'll show you what I mean by that, and you can get some dynamics and some drama into the song. Now, I'm not doing the usual up and down strumming thing at the moment because we're just demonstrating which beats we're playing. Eventually we will just play those beats in the normal course of an up and down strumming pattern, but just to show what we mean, we're playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. So say the 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and So already it's starting to lift a little bit from just playing 1, 2, 3, or if I just played on the 1 and the 3, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Nobody's going to get up and dance. Just play that second beat a little bit early. It lifts the whole thing. So now we're going to have a look at the third paragraph there. We're going to add the beat 4 to what we were playing before. So we're still going to play on the 1, we're going to play on the and between the 2 and the 3, but we're also going to play on beat 4. So we want to be saying 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Emphasize the 1, emphasize the and emphasize the beat 4. So here's what that looks like. It's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So the 1 comes quite quickly after the 4 is 4 and 1. 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So I'll just play that a little bit slowly. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Play it at a little bit more speed, you get a bit more impression of the rhythm, which just goes. Now I've been saying and because that's the way that we've been doing it in the previous lessons, looking at strumming. But if you want to, you can turn all the ands into numbers and you can just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 4 beats and 4 ands between the beats. And if you want to say it that way, it makes it easy for you. Then you emphasize the 1, the 4 and the 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now we're nearly where we want to be with the strumming pattern, but of course we don't just want to be playing the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We don't just want to be playing those. We want to be playing, we play as much as we want, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 if we wish, but as long as we emphasize those beats. So what we tend to do would be to just play. It doesn't really matter how many ups and downs we play, as long as we emphasize the 1, the 4 and the 7. And if we played at speed, it would give us something like this. Okay, now I said we could add some dynamics to our song by thinning down the syncopation pattern and then thickening it up in the chorus, thinning it down for the verse. So normally I'd thin the sound down as well by playing what's called power chords, but just so that you can see what I'm doing, I'll just play with normal open chords, which is what you know. And while I'm playing the verse, I can just play the 1 and the and between the 2 and the 3. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Perhaps as I'm coming towards the chorus, maybe there's a pre-chorus, I can add the 4 in. 2, 3. So it's getting a bit more lively, and then I'm going to just play lots of stuff as we did before, but just emphasizing the 1, 4 and 7. Go back to breaking it down a bit. Okay, now there's a couple of other things I'm doing there as well to enhance the rhythm. We're probably getting a bit ahead of ourselves, but you can come back to it. It's called left hand damping and right hand damping. So when I'm playing in full strum, I'm emphasizing the 1, let's do it by numbers. Let's say the 1, the 4 and the 7 we did before. And I'm gripping the strings tightly on the 1, then I'm relaxing my fingers a little bit, still touching the strings, which kind of dampens them down. And then I'm gripping again on the 4, which is an upstroke, and then I'm gripping again on the 7. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that's a little bit of left hand damping, and I'm also using my right hand to damp. So when I'm just playing it very thin, and I'm just playing like the 1 and the 4 to start with, instead of strumming up and down like I'm doing in the chorus, I'm resting my hand on the top of the guitar a little bit, rather like we do when we play the riffs, and I'm just using a very small movement to get that. Now my hand is actually touching the strings. Let's just check this out. If you put your hand on top of the strings, completely on top of the strings, then there's not going to be any sound really. It's completely muffled. If you have your hand obviously off the strings completely, then it'll ring out. But if you get the fleshy part of your hand here just overlapping on the very end of the strings, only just touching, and you move it around a little bit, so it's slightly damped, but you can still hear the tone, you can still hear the notes. It's not completely ringing out, it's not completely muffled. It's a little bit difficult to do. Get it there, and then you can play. I'm just concentrating mainly on the bass strings here because I'm not doing a full strum. When you want to go into full strum, you've got to lift your hand off. But you don't need to do that all the time, just do it from time to time. So you have a play around with it, see what you can come up with. Well, we'll have a look at reggae. Now this is very difficult to play, again something you can come back to, but I just want to cover it while we're talking about syncopation, because it's extreme syncopation. You play on none of the beats, not on the 1, the 2, the 3 or the 4. All you play on is the ands in between the beats. So it's a bit of a strange beast. And left hand damping and right hand damping that we were talking about really comes into its own with reggae as well. And it sounds something like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you only play on the ands. It's quite difficult to do at first when you're used to playing on beats. But the real sort of reverse your brain thing about reggae is that whereas normally we're playing down on the first, second, third and fourth beats, and we're playing up on the ands between the beats, with reggae we're playing down on the ands. So kind of back to front, so it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now again, you don't just want to play that, you want to play a lot of stuff, but you want to emphasize the offbeats. So damp everything that you're playing in between and just people don't worry about a thing. Now of course you can do that in any rhythm pattern as well, so we'll play a little slower rhythm pattern. Let's say 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and bit better with an electric guitar and a bit of reverb on it. If you're playing electric and you've got an amplifier, try doing this. Turn the reverb up a little bit, it gives that echoey. And you can use it for songs that are not obviously reggae. I was just thinking of traveling in a Parada combi down under, and it worked. Met a strange lady, made me nervous, took me in, gave me breakfast. Now there's one other rhythm which isn't strictly syncopated in the way that we've been talking about, but it's kind of a calypso rhythm, and it's one I use a lot in songs that are just in normal 4/4 time. Maybe use it for the verse and then use it down, down, up, down, 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 up, down. That's one of our normal strumming patterns that we saw in the last video. But then in the verse I'll play sort of damp down a little bit and then let it flow. So we'll have a look at that, and again it's something that takes quite a lot of practice to do. It's a little bit counterintuitive because it starts with an upstroke. So you start by playing up. Normally the first beat's always down, but this is up. So you play up, down, up, and then we stop the strings. Some people say slap. If you're slapping, carefully don't do it too hard. Slap over this little area where the fingerboard is on top of the guitar, but it doesn't really matter that you slap very hard. It's just a matter of stopping the strings from ringing out. So play up, down, up, and a slap or a stop, however you like to look at it. So I'll play with the pick, and it sounds a bit strange played slowly, but as we speed it up, of course you want to start by playing it slowly when you've got the hang of it. When we remembered Zion by the rivers of Babylon. Okay, well I think that's long enough for this video. Now I know we have been walking up and down the strings doing the notes A, B, C, D, E, F and G on each string. We've got to the top string and we've kind of neglected that for the last couple of videos, but I hope you're still practicing that yourself. And we've also been doing some little riffs, little finger exercises. And again, we've left that. We've got maybe half a dozen of them so far. We'll catch up with all that next time, and we'll have a bit of a quiz, see how well you remember the notes, which you can have a try at, and we'll do a fair few more riffs. Meanwhile, be encouraged because we've now got enough information to play songs, and that's what we're going to start doing next. We've got the chords, we've got some strumming patterns. It's a bit boring practicing them in isolation. It's much better to practice them in the context of a song. It's much more motivating. So we'll start doing that next time too. Anyway, I must dash. I've got to get down to the Argos sale. Now's the winter of their discount tents. And you've got to love camping. 'Tis nature's way of feeding mosquitoes.